All right, sounds like we'll start with the poll and then we'll go into more questions. Feel free to ask questions as we go through some of this information as well. Um, this is really geared around a Q&A to know what you guys are looking for regarding social media strategies and how we can help you drive traffic and drive lead generation. So the very first topic we have a couple of votes for on PMI Connect is what content to post, how to choose content, what's good content. So let's go ahead and start there. Jeremiah?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. Hey, and it's good to be with everybody on here today. And so, yeah, please don't hesitate if there are any even crazy questions. Up for crazy questions too. But with the content that we're posting, most important thing is particularly with the PMI program, and we're doing the Monday, Wednesday, Friday for you already, and with the industry content. But if there's any ways that you can humanize your business, okay, or personalize your business, because I know that many of you, and I've talked with a number of you on the phone, and you have credibility in your industry. You're in those localities. Sometimes being able to highlight yourself in your community with photos or supporting a charity makes people associate your business with you. They don't feel like they're calling some nameless organization. So I generally recommend posting some of those photos, which is great. If you have a success story with a client that you have and you're able to get a picture with them, awesome. Posting some of the customer reviews. I know I've done this for Utah and folks, I don't think anybody here, but you get in these Google reviews of people saying super awesome things. Don't let them just sit there on Google. Promote those occasionally on your social media channels. Usually what we'll do, like with PMI Utah, we run those reviews twice a month. So it's not looking overly promotional, but it's just putting a little thing out there that says, here's the review. And the tease is, we're so grateful for so-and-so who said this about us. So those are valuable. And then I'd say the other thing, and this has worked really well for Dave Pescio up in at PMI Richmond, posting listings. If you're looking for a tenant in a home, if you're on that residential side, or if you have a short-term property that is available for a week or whatnot, posting those types of things on Facebook, which is a B2C world, can be super effective. So hopefully that generates a couple ideas, even though it's all over the place. I don't know, Jessalyn, is there anything you would add as you hear that? All of that
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely. So really anything that you post on Facebook is content that helps drive engagement and communication just with your network. We're trying to build a marketable target audience that we're able to communicate with. And so whenever you're posting things, they can be a variety of options, really. So we have thought leadership or property management specific content. This can be, what Social 5 is posting. This can be articles that you find online. This can be information about your own success stories or what you are doing. They can be very services focused. So brand promise content, things about, the guarantees that you'll provide to your customers, reviews, anything like that kind of delves into you as a location. And then there's also local content. So this doesn't have to be property management focused. It doesn't have to be business focused. This can just be good information about the community. Things that show, one, you're locally owned and operated. You live in the area, you know the area, so you're a go-to source for information there, which is very beneficial. But also it's things that people are looking for. If there's an event happening this weekend, they want to know what's going on with the event. And if you blog about it, if you put it on your webpage, if you share that to your Facebook page, then one, that people that are looking for information on that can find you, which connects your brand to things happening in the area, but also just gets more eyeballs both on your Facebook and your website. So that increases the overall volume that you have, which helps boost your SEO for both. So yeah, highly recommend any of that content. And then one key strategy as well is anytime you do a local blog, share that to your Facebook. Social Fives blogs are also shared to your Facebook in the Monday, Wednesday, Friday posts, but the local blogs that you do, if you just copy that URL link and paste it into a comment on Facebook, then what that does is, one, gives you an additional venue to share the content, so you get more use out of your money if you're paying a ghost blog writer, or your time if you're writing it yourself. It engages the local audience because they find things about their area, or that they're actually connected and identify with, a lot more relevant, as well as drives traffic back to your website for that kind of volume driver and SEO benefit as well. So there's a ton of good content there, and it's highly engaging, even if it's not property management specific. It helps show up in searches more often. So that's also kind of beneficial content to be posting regularly on your social media pages as well.
And Jesselyn, I love that. There's one thing on those local blogs too that is great to add. So if you're highlighting local locations or local charities, local whatever it happens to be, like we did one that was on best places to eat over the holidays, and include an address or a hometown, like if it's such and such restaurant in Sandy, Utah, or in Mill Creek, Utah, including some of those local identifiers can be super helpful from a local SEO perspective. So yes, I totally second what Jesselyn said.
And then furthermore on that, you can also, if you're including local restaurants, things that are happening in the area, if they have pages, if they have events created, tag them. One, it's kind of exponential in the views or the reach that you're going to get, because if you share it in a group or you tag their page, then anyone who sees their page sees your post as well. And then friends of those friends can see that content if they engage with it. And so with each level of sharing, we have a multitude of more people that see your brand, see the content, and help drive that that benefit. So always tag and share if you're part of local Facebook groups, if you're part of networking groups that may find the information beneficial, definitely share into those groups. When working with groups, we don't really want to do a sell. Most moderators don't like that very much, but if you're showing you're involved in the community and it's beneficial information for that group community, then it both adds to the information that they receive. You're being helpful and involved in the group, and then more likely people can either drive themselves to your page or respond back and help build those networking relationships that help us drive leads as well. What about some best practices for creating content? Imagery, how long the text is, hashtags. What do you think, Jeremiah?
Yeah, really good question. A Facebook post should never be 100 words long. So a few things I would recommend as you think about creating the content. First, on imagery, never ever use Google Images. Okay, that's a horrible place for getting yourself fined, especially Getty Images show up there. And it's not uncommon for me to hear that businesses get fined $900, $1,000. Once had one that was a $7,000 fine for a single image that was used off of Google Images. So a few places that are good to go for. Unsplash is awesome, as it's a free photo library. It's a little bit more artistic in nature, or you can do kind of just a typical stock photo company, like an iStock photo or a 123RF, but make sure that you're either paying for the license for the video, for the image, or that you are going through a one that is copyright free. When it comes to the length of a post on Facebook, we typically see that the maximum engagement is around a 15 words tends to be the most engagement. I hate that myself. I mean, I'm usually I tell our writers 15 to 40 words is great. I tend to write a little bit longer because I like to demonstrate some level of expertise in the content. Okay, but 15 words has been shown to have the most engagement. If you are looking at whether to use a link or not to use a link, if you choose to use a link, which is fine, just use them sparingly, you'll get the lowest amount of traffic and engagement of any other type of content on Facebook. Generally, a video performs the very best, even if it's like a little just thing off of your cell phone that is 5 seconds or 10 seconds, or maybe you're doing a quick walkthrough of a home. We have one franchisee who does this very effectively, just comes into the house and shoots a quick cell phone video. Those are the most effective. Images without links are second, and then content with links are third on that list. So those would be a few recommendations. The other thing that I would probably recommend, because we generate a fair number of amount of content at Social 5, and it's easy to get to say, what I've written about this topic a gazillion times. What do I do? Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take out a piece of paper, and I will spider web on the paper. Like I'll put, my brand. I'll say, okay, I want to do what falls under the inspiration category. What about expert tips? What about customer reviews? What about thought leadership? What about statistics that might be meaningful in my industry? What about local blogs that I want to promote? And I'll write those general categories down on a piece of paper, and then I'll jot little topics underneath them to help me to just prompt my mind, to generate a few different ideas. So those are a few thoughts. Hopefully it helps.
Definitely does. A couple things I would add. So I put into the comments the 3 websites. So Unsplash is one that Jeremiah mentioned. There's also pixabay.com and pexels.com that are all free for commercial use stock photo websites. I also put in quotes free for commercial use. There are some images you could find on the internet or on various websites that would say they're free to use, but for personal use only. If you use them as a business, it's different than using them personally. So always make sure the images are free for commercial use if you're pulling from the internet. But Pexels, Pixabay, and Unsplash are all free for commercial use. We use them at corporate as well. So if you can find what you're looking for there, that's great. The other option with imagery is to just take photos yourself with your cell phone. It goes back to that humanization aspect of your page. If you only have professional photos, if you only have very specific content, then people can say there's just a robot running this page. There's no people here. And so when you share things that are maybe a less quality photo, it could be, a photo of the lunch table where you're having a meeting today. It could be, what you're doing in the office. It could be an office party for Christmas or the holidays or New Year's, whatever kind of events that are going on. Really, it doesn't have to be super professional every time. But if you're looking for professional photos, those are some good options as well. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Anything we want to talk about specific that you're looking for about social media today? We'll open it back up to the room.
Hey, Jocelyn, this is Carrie. I joined a little late and I'm not sure if you guys maybe touched on this before I joined, but I put a couple of questions in the Facebook posting about today's meeting. Did you guys get to that early and I just need to watch the recording, or can I ask those questions now?
Nope, we haven't gotten to those yet. So if you'd like to ask them, you're welcome to.
Okay, awesome. So I know I'm in a couple of groups for realtors, and I know a lot of people use postcards, right, for direct marketing. I wanted to maybe just get some tips or ideas, or just even, I don't know, knowing if it's helpful, maybe translating that older school, maybe premise of direct marketing to social media, like your Facebook or LinkedIn. What are some ideas that you have for maybe direct marketing in a specific zip code for, association services as opposed to maybe using the postcard methodology? And do you think it's effective, as effective as maybe postcards?
So as far as kind of like a cold reach out, if you have, so best practices for groups. A lot of times, depending on what the administration or monitor people of that group have, there are certain rules and requirements. And so sometimes doing kind of like a cold reach out or a cold sell through groups may not be as effective for Facebook. If they allow you to do that, then clearly you're definitely more than welcome to. But if they don't, it could get you banned from the group. So just be careful about which groups you do start to aim kind of that cold lead generation through. But you can definitely develop messaging and an image to share in posts within groups to try and develop some additional traction or get in contact with specific people. As far as LinkedIn goes, there actually is a sort of kind of online direct mail type strategy. That's the word I'm looking for, where you do find specific groups of people that meet your target market and just reach out to them and try and make a connection and then develop that lead generation from there. So that has less imagery in it because it goes through the messenger, but I would love to toss that over to Jeremiah to talk a little bit about their LinkedIn prospecting campaign and how that works.
Yeah, and Carrie, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you again.
Oh, thank you. And I was thinking about your question there too, because there is that direct marketing approach of sending the postcard or sending the letter or email. You know, we've kind of turned away from that to a certain degree because of what Jessalyn mentioned, that tends to have the interest to reach particularly the real estate community through an inbox type of campaign. And so I'm just trying to think the best way to explain this. And I know, Carrie, you and I talked about this a little bit here, but one of the best ways that you can reach out to those individuals is actually to take your LinkedIn account and upgrade it to a sales navigator type of account. And I'm going to just throw this up on the screen for everyone to kind of see what we're talking about, of how you can do a little bit of prospecting here that can be less costly than direct mail, which is a little rich for my pocketbook sometimes. But LinkedIn is a little bit more cost effective. Oh, and actually, Jessalyn, is it possible if I could share the screen here?
Yes, just 1 second.
And I can see if I do a better job than last time, where I had the unsane up on my screen. Goodness, embarrassing. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. So usually what I say, if somebody's going to be going in here and doing some LinkedIn prospecting, if they have a free account, they're really limited in who they can reach out to, that they find themselves saying, you know, I want to search for realtors, okay, and they can get a list of individuals who match some of those criteria, okay, of realtors, and they can search for people based upon companies or job title or whatnot. But it's not super effective. Usually what I'd recommend is that you upgrade to your Sales Navigator account. It usually costs, it's $80 a month to do a Sales Navigator. But the amazing part about this one is you can do what Jessalyn is talking about, that you can come in and now look for realtors in your certain geography. So if I said, let me say, who do we have in Salt Lake City? Okay, here we go, Salt Lake City. I'm going to look for realtors. Okay. All right, so here we go. We'll do a real estate agent, realtor, real estate broker. Well, we'll just stick there. So now I have 8,500 results. The best way that I can now reach out to those individuals is you can either use technology that will send messaging to each of these folks, and we do that through Social 5. Or you can say, okay, here's Jason. Let's actually reach out to him and send him a message. I'm already connected to Jason, but I can send him a message saying I'd like to connect with you. Or if you are using, some of Social 5 services, then we have a technology, that's social5.com, where you can come in and take all of those 8,000, however many do we have? 8,500 realtors, okay? And we dump them into our Social 5 technology, and it will send them out emails or messages through LinkedIn every day out of the week, okay? And it'll view their profile, follow their content, send them connection requests. Every time we do that, what happens is in their inbox, they will receive a message from you. It will just appear right here on the side. Suzanne Landon will say, hey, it's good to see you. I'd love to connect with you, interact with you. This is probably the better way to do some of your prospecting. Now, one of the things, Carrie, that you mentioned was the idea of using groups on LinkedIn. You can use groups.
Wait, so hold on one second, Jeremiah.
Oh, yes,
I think I maybe that was a little bit confusing. I was just saying that I'm in groups, and some of the people use direct marketing as in postcards, and I was trying to figure out a better way to maybe use like some of the ads that we post or information that's helpful to target a specific zip code to replace maybe using postcards is what I was asking, is if there was an effective way to maybe use Facebook ads to replace the old, hey, PMI is in my area, we provide association management services, so that it's not, like you say, the older school version of sending a postcard in the mail, but that recognition of PMI, the name, we provide services in the area. I want to target specific zip codes where I might already have associations to kind of acquire additional clients in those areas. So I apologize if that was a little bit.
No worries. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that. And on Facebook doing that, in the real estate world, there are some restrictions on Facebook advertising where you no longer can target by zip code, you can target by city. And so you can put out an advertisement that targets realtors by city and put out an ad that appears on their Facebook page or the side rail. That's one way that you can do it. The other way you can do it is, through that LinkedIn program I just showed you. Every time someone connects with you, you get their contact information. And so you can say, I want to target realtors in this, again, it's a city instead of a zip code. Do that campaign, harvest their email addresses, and then send them, some of those email communications. That would be another way that you could do it. I'm trying to think if there are other ways to do that, but those are what come to my mind, Carrie. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, I think that's helpful. And I think I don't know, because I'm association focused at this point, my target group would really be homeowners, right? People who live in communities where there are associations. So not specifically just realtors, but maybe a specific city, like you said, because you can't target zip codes, but targeting homeowners in a particular area, people over the age of, who would actually serve on a board, right? So people who are, 30 to 65 or something in a specific city, again, for that recognition, to know that PMI is in the area. We provide the service of homeowner condo association management, is trying to target individuals in those areas to replace that direct mail postcard, and whether or not something like that has been implemented and how effective it is.
Oh, yes. Yep, absolutely. And if you happen to have a list of associations in the area of their names, you can actually load that list into LinkedIn and pull anyone who has actually mentioned that association in their profile. that is a possibility for marketing. But yeah, that it is a little tricky, that association space. It's hard to find those movers and shakers there.
Yep, absolutely. But I think more, I have a meeting scheduled with Carly, so I'll talk to her about that a little a bit more from
Okay.
your team. I have a meeting scheduled with her, but I was just trying to get some tips on Facebook replacing the postcard. How would I be able to kind of identify those groups? So thank you.
Very good. And I guess one just topic I'd bring up real quick, or just thing to mention. Sometimes when we go about an advertising campaign on a social media channel, we adopt some of the same mentality of what we had even 5 or 10 years ago when we put something in a newspaper or in a magazine, and it tends to be somewhat one-sided and sometimes a bit salesy. Whenever you are creating an advertisement, a mailer, or any outreach material, always think about what the benefit to the consumer is. At Social 5, we use something that's called the Sp7 Framework, and it's a concept that we position ourselves as a business as a guide. We are the Gandalf to the Frodo, right? We're the guide, and as a guide, we need to help the hero of our story solve a certain problem. Okay, and so anytime we look at that, think about who the hero is of your story. And maybe it is the real estate investor who has 5 different properties. What is the problem your hero is facing? That they're spending all of their time trying to manage these properties, or they're spending all their time trying to get tenants in their property. Think about what that pain point is. What's the problem? And then you are the guide to help that hero overcome it. Okay. There needs to be that tangible benefit to the hero in the advertising creative that you put forward. And it's more important in social media advertising than even in other types of marketing. But just a little food for thought as I thought about some of the things that Carrie just mentioned there. So Jessalyn, I'll pass it back over. Sorry, I ramble on way too long.
No problem. Thanks so much for joining us. All right. Opening up any other questions burning in your minds regarding social media? Everyone just hopping in to listen in today? All right, we'll go back over to our poll. Another couple of votes. As far as advertising goes, Jeremiah, when to boost a post?
Yeah, boosting a post is most effective when you are trying to get engagement on that particular topic. You're trying to get them to click or comment or share or call somebody or go to enter a contest. It's engagement on a piece of content. I know that some folks have tried to boost content as a way to increase the size of their audience. There are more effective ways to build your audience. But if you have a listing, or you're trying to get someone to fill a property, those types of things are good to boost. Another one is like when Jessalyn mentioned the local blogs. Those are good pieces of content to boost. It drives traffic to your website. Many times I will boost pieces of content that have links, because I know that my content without links is going to perform well as it is. But if I have a call to action, a link in there that I really want to get out there, I'm going to boost it to make sure I get that traffic. Now, the other thing I would mention, and this is a very common mistake. You feel that, okay, I'm going to go out there and boost a piece of content. If I boost it for $50, it's going to be 10 times better than $5, right? And we'll put a lot of budget into 1 or 2 pieces of content without ever testing to see if it resonates with your audience. So generally what I recommend is that you boost multiple posts for $5, okay, to see what is connecting with your audience. When one does connect, put additional dollars behind it, okay? That is one way. If you're simply looking at a boosting strategy that is not event centric, or like when I talk about a listing or finding a tenant, those are kind of event centric. I will sometimes put a fair amount of dollars into an event boost, but with the others, I'll start out low and I'll work my way up based on what connects with people.
Awesome, thank you. Another couple of comments we could probably make on this topic is regarding the content of the boost to post. So either boosts or advertising, things that get rejected by Facebook. A lot of times, especially because we're in real estate, end up within the special housing category. So Facebook has a set of robots that are going to try and track everything that goes through advertising first. So regarding your images and your content. And selling houses is a protected category. There's no discriminatory practices. And so a lot of times content either boosted or advertised can get flagged if it includes a picture of a house. And so most of the time you are able to ask for a manual review where a person will look at it and say, okay, this is services based, they're not selling property. So, we're good to move forward with that. But that is a large or a common hiccup that happens for people in our network. Jeremiah, what other common problems would we see with advertising getting rejected?
Yeah, the most frequent one we see, particularly in PMI, is they call it the individual characteristics category. And so there's a rule that you can't say, are you feeling tired? Are you feeling too skinny? Are you this or that? You're targeting the person with you, or starting with has a you in it. Those individual characteristics can get you flagged because you're calling somebody out for some characteristic that they may or may not be able to control. Okay, so avoid using the word you in a boosted post. Work around it. It's a time when a passive voice might be okay. Another thing that we see that gets flagged in, particularly in the property management space, is there's this favorite stock photo of people holding house keys. Okay, and it shows on the image their hand up close. Well, there's so much skin on that hand and it's so close that it comes across as it gets an obscene photo violation. Okay, and so you need to make sure that you don't use too much skin, even if it's a hand or a foot or a knee or any of those types of things, that it just needs to kind of pull back from the photo a little bit. Those are the big ones. And I would say, as you're going through and you're boosting the content, do make sure that you check the box that says that you are in a real estate classification. If you don't check that box, you can get not only flagged, but you can have your account shut down because you're not disabled for advertising. Okay, they're not going to delete your page unless you're doing some really funky things. But make sure that you disclose it. And by disclosing it, it will take away some of your targeting options. So you won't be able to target by gender anymore. You won't be able to target by zip code or by ethnicity or whatever those types of things are because of fair housing rules. There are some other things that you can target by, though. And you can target people who have looked at real estate pages or mortgage pages. There are some other ways that you can drill down and do that, but do make sure to disclose it. Don't try to get around it because it can backfire on you if you try to just get around. So.
Awesome. I would have probably just one more factor to include very often, and this might go back a little bit to our direct mail conversation, where franchisees would like to just take the postcard, the image of the postcard, put that onto Facebook and then boost it as an ad. And it always gets rejected. And the reason is there's way too much text. on the postcard. Facebook advertising is very, very visual. And so just like you can't have a certain percentage of skin, you shouldn't have a certain percentage of text in your imagery. The post content, the headline, are what's going to be driving the message home. And so the image itself needs to remain an image. So if you get something that's really just filled with content, it could be that there's just too much text, and so Facebook doesn't want to allow it through its system. So that's another possible thing to keep an eye out for.
Awesome.
All right, I have another question. How about the difference between advertising and boosting?
Oh my goodness, that's a really good question. Oh, and the difference really comes in. Maybe I'll describe each individually, because when you boost a piece of content, it will appear in the news feed of somebody in your target area. So let's say I'm targeting people who ride unicycles, okay? And so I boost my piece of content to the Unicycle Association page, whatever it is, okay? But when I boost it, it now appears in that news feed when somebody's scrolling down through their content. So I log in as a person, I just see it as a piece of content. It says that it's sponsored in the post, okay? But it looks like a normal piece of content. That's what happens when you boost it. If you are advertising, you can advertise in the news feed too. That's okay. But you also can advertise in the side rail column, the right-hand side of Facebook. You can also advertise on partner websites. They call this the Facebook audience network, okay? And so Facebook enters into relationships with websites and businesses in your community, and it will show advertisements on those websites as part of its audience network. The other thing that a Facebook ad allows you to do is a boosted piece of content essentially takes your piece of content as it is and puts it out to a target market. With Facebook advertising, you can attach some additional information, a like button, a button to click to your website, so an action button on the side. You can include some summary text of where you're sending someone at the bottom of the ad. Gives you a little bit more versatility there. Now, so you'd say, well, why don't we just do an ad every time? I mean, if it's that much better. And a boost is very simple. You can go to the post, click on the blue boost button, and apply a boost in literally 5 minutes or less. Super easy. Whereas an ad, you need to go into Facebook Ads Manager. So if you log into Facebook, there's this little down arrow on the top right-hand corner. You can click there, go to Ads Manager, and you have to place it through that. It's a 20 to 30 minute process. So a little bit more complex. If you need any help with that, I'm happy to walk you through it. Or I've also got a video that can show you how to do some ads, or else we can do ads for you at Social 5, either way.
Perfect. Thank you so much. The other question we had on our poll, I'm actually going to loop Juan in here, and that is, what is a Facebook pixel and how can we use it?
Okay. So a Facebook pixel is literally one pixel. It's a 1-by-1 image that Facebook generates when you're doing your Facebook ads that you can install on your website. What that does, it helps Facebook to understand the traffic being sent from Facebook itself to your websites and all the actions that that customer is performing on the website. And that's beneficial. For example, let's say you want to run a remarketing campaign, you want to target just the people that visited your website. You could do that by using that pixel, because Facebook would know who they sent there, who are visiting you, and then they can recognize those folks and run some ads for them. You can also use that pixel to track conversions, for example. There are ways to indicate to Facebook what's your conversion page, and then you can use that to signal Facebook that, hey, this is my goal. I want people filling a form as the goal of my campaign. And with that, you can help Facebook algorithms to optimize the whole campaign to achieve that goal better. So the pixel itself can be easily generated and installed on your website. There's no cost for it. So if you're planning to run Facebook ads, we can totally do that. It is a bit advanced, so I probably would recommend you guys working with Social 5 on it. But yeah, I hope that answered the question.
I think it did. Thank you so much. That is all of the questions that came through our poll on PMI Connect. Do you have any other questions about what we've talked today, or anything else you want to be learning about for social media? I'm all right with silence, guys.
I'm the only one with my camera still on. So.
You get bonus points, Shannon.
Well, I try to keep it on, but no, I mean, I just wanted to hop on and listen to see what this was. So I appreciate you guys holding it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, if anyone does come up with any additional questions, you can email Jeremiah. His email is jeremiah@social5.com, or you can email anybody on the marketing team. We're more than happy to either answer your questions, point you in the right direction, or get you taken care of. So this call has been recorded. We'll be posting it on PMI Way. We could probably share it on PMI Connect as well. And I hope you all have a fabulous rest of your day. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right, see you
Thanks,
later.
guys. This was great.